Greetings, conscious breathers, infinite beings alike. Breath family, we are now back. Part number 2, one size fits all. I'm going to wait for everyone that was in the previous live to come back. So they have limited my time. I no longer have the unlimited button anymore, but that's okay. I honestly like that because in the beginning I liked that it was an hour restriction because it worked perfect for me personally when I upload all my lives to YouTube that way. So I don't mind it. Yeah, I'll save this live. Someone goes, can you airbend? Ooh. So aerogenesis, real quick, and it might it definitely taps into this topic here, because we all do aerogenesis with just breathing. What is aerogenesis? The manipulation of air, right? Boom, we're already doing it. You want to talk about levitation? Well, if I exhale right now, my exhale is traveling up and down through the air. Air literally does everything you can think of, even down to telekinesis. And I'll show you, for those that are new here as well, I'll tell you a story with monks. So there's these two monks that I got to witness use breathing mechanics. What they would do, so I would write something down on a piece of paper, and this one monk would have it, and they're completely far apart. They're both looking at the walls. I'd write down a specific thing, and they would harmonize their breathing, and then they would hum. They would chant a little bit, and then it would go completely nose breathing at a certain point, and they would harmonize, hum, 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 hum. And the other monk that has the blank piece of paper is writing down every single thing I wrote on the other monk's paper, just by harmonizing their breath. When you harmonize the breath, you harmonize thought patterns, you harmonize vibrational energy exchange going back and forth. That's even the CIA. I'll share this. The CIA use this technique when they're communicating in certain places, stuff like that, where they would use this as a coping. They would use it as coping. They would use this as a stress relieving, and they would use this in a sense more so. I don't want to say control, but send a specific resonance. And there's a different way. There are different ways to do this, but I like to share more of the healthier mechanics of doing this. So with the CIA breathing, what they do is, let's say one person is talking, that'll be your exhale, okay? You exhale, and I highly recommend just nasal breathing while doing this. They're talking, and let's say you're trying to calm down a person without being too invasive, right? Especially in social settings. And they'd use this to get more information and more of a clear resonance between their body communications. Remember, all communications is 80% nonverbal. 80% of communication is nonverbal. I'm going to say that one more time. 80% of communication is nonverbal. And a key component is the breath. So, when that person is talking, that person exhale. Whenever you see them take an inhale, that'll be your inhale. You inhale with them, but then they're talking. All right? Inhale with them again. Talking. They inhale, but you're slowing down the exhale while they come back to talking. and you will see them start to calm down a little bit, especially if the person's sporadic. Calm down a little bit. And there's another way of using it. I would highly recommend, let's say someone is depressed and they're talking a certain way, right? This is another way to use it. So that person is depressed and they're talking and blah, blah, blah. That would be your exhale. And you inhale with them. Whenever they inhale, they're talking, depressed. You inhale with them, they're talking, depressed. But then you inhale, and you take as many inhales as you can to really liven up the atmosphere a little bit that way. And you'll start to see them perk up a little bit. But the main point is not to keep on doing that. You keep on doing that for a certain amount of time. And then as they talk, you get them a little bit spiked up a little bit. But also your intentions behind this as you breathe out, because your thought patterns is vibrating with the breath itself, communicating, going back and forth. So as long as it's good, happy, pleasant intentions that you want to take the person out from the depressive state of being as well, then you slow down your exhales, and then they start vibing at a certain rate, and you're going back and forth with them, back and forth with them. So there's different tones of communicating via breath this way, but also help shifting a room, especially when I work with people that have to deal with lots of social settings and a lot of meetings and stuff like that. We do different breathing mechanics that's geared towards shifting the atmosphere of the room for their benefit, sure, but especially if it's like a CEO or something, shifting the atmosphere for the betterment of your employees as well. Honestly, this year I don't really want to focus on creating like courses and stuff like that geared towards it. I'm still in the aspect of doing that more privately, if anything. The Breath Family Members Group is definitely more open and more generalized, so everyone has different pieces where they can tap into. Have you ever smoked weed? Yes, I have. I gave up weed like 3 years ago. Takes a lot out of you. I look at anything you smoke. You can debate me whether it's good or bad, whatever the case may be, but anything you smoke, I look at it this way, where it's super cold outside and you go near the window and you go like that, right? And you start to see the fog. Well, it's fog, right? It's something you have to like wipe to see. That's why when people come to me like, hey, is marijuana still good to use? Is this still good to use? Well, I would say I would rather you ingest it in another way than smoking it. There's so many other ways you can use it. Oil, even rubbing it on the skin in certain ways, like your third eye. That's one where you can soak the marijuana. And I call this Jesus juice, because if you look at certain texts in history and bring all the different religions and history about Jesus, whatever the case may be, he definitely used weed. He definitely used weed and different herbs and like that. But I truly believe what he did, trust what he did, was he had urine in there, he had saliva in there, he had all the herbs soaking in that, including the marijuana and the urine in there as well. And then that would be the juice. He would, hey, you can see now. Or, oh, you have this ailment. Let me rub some on there right now. Boom. That's what I call Jesus juice. But you can use it in a more practical sense, where you get the flour and you get a little mini jar, and you can put it as a droplet, whatever the case may be, and just have it soak with essential oils in there, and then you can rub it on your third eye. You're going to feel a difference. Not just your third eye here, but you can also rub it in the middle of the soft spot, and that is actually the easiest penetrating point going into your pineal gland. It's not even here. It's not even here. It's actually right in this soft spot here. Especially when you do certain types of light therapy, they like to shine it through the back of the head. And when you look at ancient scriptures in Egypt, specifically Egypt, they had certain copper prongs. They would go in the middle of the back of the head and stick it right into the ground. What do you think they were doing? They were shooting frequencies right into the back in that soft spot, because they knew it goes straight into the pineal gland that way. So we're going to tap into some breath work a little bit, some alchemy breath work. Normal swollen feet or strong looking after 2 weeks barefoot with a lot of concrete. Yeah, the structure of your feet is shifting, brother, because you're going more barefoot. That's great. Yeah, for sure. DM me. I answer DMs. For now. I'll keep saying that for now. Alright, let's see. Any other questions? Anybody want to hop on live? And I want to quickly also talk about the one-size-fits-all and morals real quick, because I talked about it lightly a little bit with everything being sex in the previous live I did yesterday. That was a really big topic, and I think it was a much needed topic. I think that opened a lot of people's eyes in that sense. So this came up in terms of the moral standpoint with sex, how everything is sex in that sense, down to what you're looking at, because you're penetrating your energy and it's going to another state of energy, into another being, object, whatever the case may be. It even reminds me of this movie long time ago. It's with Diddy, and it's called Get Him to the Greek. And there's a scene where he goes, "Are you mind effing me right now?" "Yes, I'm mind effing you right now." That's sex right there, in terms of playing with certain mental constructs, because now you're penetrating the mind in that sense. Yeah. And shoot, the news is literally mind effing a lot of people out there. So and I also want to share the layers real quick of how that even leads, if someone is still confined into the genital aspect of sex, in terms of the genitalia, in that sense, in genitals having sex. Well, let's look at it this way, even from the news standpoint, right? And I'll give you two perspectives, two different perspectives looking at the news. So there's perspective number one. There's someone within the family that is scared of traveling, and they don't end up traveling because they're scared, because looking at the news and all this type of stuff, right? And perspective number two is actually invigorated, and they don't like to be manipulated by the news, and they say, you know what, I'm going to do the complete opposite of what I'm hearing here, because there are certain holes in my research and other people's experience that I'm going to take that leap and live my life, right? And this person goes out, meets another beautiful being, and they have a baby. Well, the news or the outlet that they made that decision that led to having intercourse with that person had an effect of the whole sexual intercourse in terms of the genital side, but the mental side was influenced by the news. I'm just giving examples here, just by the news. So this goes to show you how all these different layers of what you may perceive as sex, but it's all sex. It's all sex. Everything is sex. So this brought up the moral part, and this ties back into the topic, the one size fits all. And after this, we'll tap into a mini breathwork session here. So, the moral aspect, right? And I like to say the more you can feel, the more you can heal. Or the more you can breathe, the more you can feel. And the more you can feel, the more you can heal. And the more you can heal, the more you can do. But the more you can have compassionate inner over understanding of your fellow human being. And this is how we can bring in the moral aspect. So let's say if I'm choking myself right now, that hurts, right? If I'm choking myself, it hurts. Someone may deem pain as a good thing, which it's either good or bad in a sense, in a particular sense. But if it constricts life, and we can look at all the fallen soldiers of suicide and the pain that led them there, or that understanding, we can learn from our fellow humans that have committed that act. And we can see how much pain, a particular type of pain, they had to go through. So that in itself should teach us the moral grounds of where it stands, even beyond physical law. But the moral grounds of being a human being should help guide us in that sense of saying, hey, if I do this to that person, I know it's going to hurt, because look at the past history that, hey, this person committed suicide doing this, and they're no longer here in this physical realm, but they went out in a painful way. When in hindsight we came into this life in a pain was somewhat part of it, you could say, but it was a more gentle form, being in the mother's womb and being nurtured by that warmth. So that nurturing, that warmth, anything that goes against that and constricts it, down to the umbilical cord, where if a mother has some type of hemorrhage or damage to the umbilical cord, the baby will die, right? So looking at all these different factors of down to the aspect of birth and the aspect of suicidal death, we can find a pinpoint and a connected line to say that, hey, if I do this to my brother or my sister or my fellow human being, it is morally wrong. Or not even wrong, but morally unjust. It is morally inhumane. And that is the power of feeling and learning. Because anytime you hear horrific stories of someone in real life, or whatever the case may be, some of us deep down within ourselves, we feel like, oh, this person died of this. Ow, I can feel, you feel something, right? You feel something. Depending on how your depth of feeling really resonates. Some of us really, really feel it. That's why it's practical not to watch certain gory things all the time, because your body doesn't know the difference, and that is what you're psychologically attracting, right? So there's a deep, innate spiritual feeling. I don't want to say spiritual feeling, but a deep, innate feeling that our spirit is communicating with the physical bodies that we have. Definitely painful for the mother. Not all the time. If you don't know, I have helped a lot of mothers give birth. You can call me a man doula if you want. That's cool. But no, birth actually doesn't have to be painful. A lot of people like to overlook the breathing mechanics of birth. And that's what you're doing. You're breathing life into a newborn. So if your connection with breath is strong, when you're having the baby, it doesn't have to be painful. It can actually be orgasmic. it can be orgasmic as hell. It can be such an orgasm that no man will ever give you in this lifetime. That's how beautifully powerful the female life stream really is. And it's a beautiful thing to hear that from another mother when they're giving birth. Like, no man will ever give me no man will ever give me an orgasm like this ever. Men, bow down to the female, the female gods. Bow down. Seriously, we are truly blessed to be in their presence. You never knew what? Nita, welcome. Not sure what you mean. Alright, we're going to tap into a breathwork session in a little bit, guys. If you guys could share this live with somebody and you want them to join in, let's do it. I believe a whole baby is coming out. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Hold on, reading some questions here that I may have missed up top. This will help me in my job. Oh, I think I know what you're referring to. I was talking about that earlier. About breathwork in social settings. Alright. Yeah, we're going to do this little mini session. But I want to get a feel for the room. If anyone is working on something, let's tap into what you're working with. Just type at it. Type away. What are you working on? And maybe we can design and do a particular breathwork practice that's geared towards what you're working on. Because if you guys are new here, that's what Alchemy Breathwork is about. Utilizing breathwork in everyday life beyond the sit-down session, and honoring that every aspect of our life is psychedelic. And it really is. Do you expand your belly on inhale or exhale? Is it different between these kinds of breathwork? It's not about filling up your lungs the most. It's about structuring the air that comes in. So you can fill up all you want at a certain point. And like I was talking about with a holotropic, with certain types of breathwork, it's not about filling up. It's about your relationship with the structure of the breath. Because the more you can fine tune and connect to the aspect of that ideology, or not even ideology, of that resonance of being, that the breath is alive in that sense, the more you can find a place within yourself to finally realize it's not just air you're breathing, Neo. It's not just air you're breathing. And this is why I like to say that the breath itself is not just keeping us alive, it's the mechanics behind our actual breathing. Just like, let's say we have meters around us. In terms of 1 meter is showing us the amount of sympathetic breaths you took today, or the amount of parasympathetic styles of breathing you took today. 1 meter is higher than the other, whatever the case may be. And based on that meter, there's like an equilibrium of what comes together, manifests, and what you experience in this bodily existence. And I love to use the Eiffel Tower for example of how close smack in your face of how the breath is so tied into our manifested physical reality. You know, it took $1.4 million for the Eiffel Tower to be built. And you take the average worker and you take their average breaths per day and you multiply the amount of years it took the Eiffel Tower, you get 1.4 billion. You get 1.4 billion. At least close to that number. So it can't be a coincidence that you have $1.4 million and you have 1.4 million breaths. How is that a coincidence? They're tied together. Everything in this existence is breathing, living. There's a connection there. Because you wouldn't experience it if you're not breathing. You need the breath to experience. It's not one or the other. The breath is the extension of your spirit. It may not be the actual spirit, but it is an extension of your spirit. Because when you no longer animate this body with breath, you go somewhere else. Energy cannot be destroyed nor created. So if energy cannot be destroyed nor created, it's also safe to say the breath is definitely an extension of the spirit, such to a point where the breath travels all over the world, seeing everything, felt everything, and has somewhat of a connection to other people thinking about you at another place, thinking about you in this place. And they say when someone's talking about you sneezing or something in that sense, or when you think of a person, they call you, whatever the case may be, whatever those synchronistic happenings happen, there's definitely a correlation with the fact that your breath somewhat is connected to those manifestations. Exactly. The water turns into myths. Trying to have more energy throughout the day. Motivation in general. Okay. Ooh, that's a good one. The solar poppy. She says, I believe that breathing can have a significant impact on pregnancy, on the pregnancy experience, because I use breathing to control my cramps during my period. Yes. If you know, you know. And the more parasympathetic style of breathing you integrate, and the less inflammatory foods you take in, the less you'll actually bleed. Could you comment on how smoking affects breathing and nervous system, please? Alright, after this, we'll tap into some breathwork, and I'm going to end it there. I'm overdue for watching a documentary with Tyler right now. So, not just smoking, but anything you take in has an influence on your nervous system. Because it has to digest it. It has to process it. So, smoking in particular, though, goes into the bloodstream a lot faster than digesting it. You know, you inhale the smoke, it goes straight into the bloodstream. So, in a sense, you're also, if we're talking about weed, you're in a sense also spiking certain cannabinoids within your body, but at a certain point, your body's going to stop making it themselves because your body thinks it's always going to supply it externally. Don't you want to be self-sufficient as much as possible as you can to experience more in that sense? Less is more, as they say. But yeah, if you're on the path of smoking and you really like it, whatever the case may be, and I would just say cut down on it, cut down as much as possible, and replace it with more conscious style of breathing. Hey, Celeste. Celeste goes, we're light. What's in my nose? Frequency breathers. That's what's in my nose. Yeah, I still drink coconut water. Yeah, thank you, Anaya. The frequency breathers can be found on my website. I'm going to type it in here and then let's tap into some breathing. Can you guys just list certain things you want to work on? Some people did. And we'll tap into a particular breath exercise that may fit the bill. So I'm going to type it in here. Yeah, Soul Poppy goes, in earlier timelines, smoking was used sacrificially to do spiritual work, i.e. shamans. Yep. Well, same thing with ayahuasca. You know, there are some tribes out there, and I've heard stories from friends, what I've seen online, and certain tribes would... There's a particular tribe that, I'll never forget this. They said that, oh yeah, we don't need to really do Aya that much anymore because we're so in tune with nature, stuff like that, all over. And that was a general consensus I got in that sense. And same thing with tobacco. Tobacco is also practically still used today. I used to do hape as well. I didn't really like hape. Well, I don't really need to do hape anymore. But back when I was first starting my journey too, I used to do hape. I didn't really like hape too because you have to breathe through your mouth and go back and forth, and it's all up in your nose. If anything, I'd rather use. You can use urine. Put it all up in your nose. You can do a saltwater flush as well. I like to do it in the ocean, particularly because it's the ocean. That's one. Or frequency breathers. Literally pump frequencies into your nasal cavity, into the hematite crystal behind your nose as well. And you can breathe a lot better. What's your perception of being breatharian at just the age of 15? Well, everyone's different, but I would say if you're getting breastfed and your mother still has milk until that point, that's a different story. A lot of people don't know this too, but breast milk also has urea. That's why low-key is a superfood. And for some odd reason, we now live in a society that have brainwashed mothers to believe that breastfeeding your child is bad. Well, if you're on a sad diet, of course, if you're on a acidic diet and you don't want to take responsibility for detoxing yourself and give your baby the best connection to you, especially with your liquids, your human liquids going back and forth with that baby, that motherly, natural connection, then sure, go to the bottle, go to the formulas, Sea moss is also a great formula maker, quote unquote, coconut milk in that sense too. But hey, breast milk is the best. That's the best food. That's the best food. In Africa, there's certain tribes. They're called Natarians. Natarians. There's only a few of them left over, but Natarians, they breastfeed as much as they can, and with their society of what I know right now, till this day, they only eat like one meal a whole week. They loop their urine. They breastfeed. Even the mothers breastfeed their husbands, which is pretty interesting. But the mothers even breastfeed their husbands, and they live. It's a wild story, but I'm gonna post it when I'm not shadow banned, and we can talk about that. Yeah, you're really supposed to be breastfeeding until there's no more breast milk. That's how intelligent your body is, and the circadian connection that you have with your child. That is how powerful and overlooked our human intelligence is beyond our understanding. Because at that point, it's a divine symphony that says, oh no, you need to breastfeed her or him until they're that age, and then I'll let you go, and then you'll have no more milk, and then they can finally figure out certain things within that construct of what a lot of people may deem as breatharianism in that sense. But I will not really talk about that too publicly. But that's as far as I go on that topic. Yeah, there's some type of reason why society has pushed this type of agenda where I still scratch my head and I'm such in awe of like how have we manipulated ourselves to the point where mothers are questioning, oh, my milk, I don't know if it's good for her. I have to use this formula. It has more nutrients and more stuff. Man, there's really stem cells in your breast milk. Okay? There are stem cells just sitting, waiting for the baby to use. And it's actually great for the mother, actually, when she's relieved of her breast milk. It actually, if you're healthy and you do this as long as you're supposed to, so to speak, I've seen mothers have more structured boobies, quote unquote, compared to mothers who stop at a certain point with their breast milk because of society and stuff like that. And it's less saggy. It's more there's more curvature. There's more tightness as well. And you could tell that when the baby exercises that part of the body, it somewhat sends a shockwave going up to the mother's face and stuff like that in terms of the nervous system. And it's really healthy for the mother. It's not a bad thing at all. It's still, that's how powerful society is as a whole, right? How we desensitize ourselves from the natural way of being versus synthetic ways of being. Thoughts on pumping milk? That's perfectly fine as long as the baby gets it. You know, here's the other aspect to understand, overstand, so to speak, and give awareness to this. When the baby has your DNA in terms of the milk. I know the baby already has your DNA, you know, the genetic makeup and stuff, but it's like fresh. It's like fresh DNA from the mother that communicates with the baby's DNA at an even deeper level. That says, yeah, I'm feeding, I'm nurturing you psychologically, subconsciously. That is the programming going on, connecting with the mother. See, it goes way beyond the physical at this point. Now it's going into how the baby connects with you at a deeper level. Use breast milk for so many things beside feeding my babies. Clogged tear duct, breast milk, baby is sick. Breast milk changes and adapts to heal. It's amazing. Cat Tree, thank you for sharing that, sister. I'm telling you, breast milk is one of the most overlooked superfoods known to human existence. Breast milk. Breast milk, breast milk, breast milk. Okay, I think we are ready to tap in. I'm going to read some of the stuff. Oh yeah, the umbilical cord being cut too early. Yeah, if you guys saw the lotus birth that Fruitarian had, it was a beautiful thing, and the baby is super healthy, super fresh. Apparently, the baby doesn't even cry that much too. The baby has a bunch of tensor rings all over it. I think I might post a video later on a little bit of update on that super baby. I'm so blessed to be part of you conscious parents out there that have me in your lives in one way or the other. Really blessed. Truly honored to be part of their upbringing in this sense and showing how important the breath is and the dynamics of how your kids can use it. Later in the year, around summertime, when most kids are going to be out of school, I'll be creating a different section in Breath Family where it'll be aimed towards kids that you can do with kids, down with the ears, the ocean breathing, so many things you can have fun with your kids and do. And man, if just 30 days doing this with your kids is one of the closest things to source energy. The younger the kid, the better, of course, obviously. It's closer, their closest source energy in that sense. They're less tainted on. They're less manipulated on in that sense. So when you're doing the breath work with them, it's a powerful, beautiful experience. And I encourage to have even some type of mindful practice. Even if you don't want to work with me, just have some type of mindful practice before they even take a sip of water, before you feed them, before any of that. Have some type of mindful practice, because beyond the actual food you're intaking, how you think, what you wake up to, sets a powerful ripple into the dynamics of your mental patterns and your perceptions. Amazing. Got a niece that's 2 years old, want to learn her proper breathing at an early age. Hey, the earlier the better. Even Fruitarian, right now as we speak, every time that baby goes to sleep, he is literally playing subliminal breathwork music in the background, because babies are so malleable. You know, I even said to myself, if I ever were to have a kid, I'll be playing symphonies in the background. It would be subliminal breathwork music, of course. Someone goes, drink your own breast milk. You make the milk more for the baby, more powerful. Ooh. Yes, that is true. I only met 2 mothers that has done that. And really great things. There was even one mother that had some type of thing happening with her knees. And she did that. And even while she was breastfeeding, her knees healed, just like that. Power of breast milk. I'm telling you. I think in a more holistic reality, don't be surprised if this were to ever come true. Maybe we have centers that mothers are just donating their breast milk, and you go there, you pay for it, and they give it to you, all types of things. There are mothers that actually do that right now as we speak. I don't know if there's websites out there that does that, but hey, you never know. Yeah, theta and delta waves every night. The child's brain barely even goes into alpha and beta till later in life. Exactly. That's why there's certain upbringings and books out there. I think Steiner is a good one that they get you to understand that you're not just raising a baby. You are raising a human. You are raising a human, a spirit. And they get you to understand that those type of doctrines that's being developed. I don't even say doctrines, but just influential books out there that target that type of mindset and really give the parents a more expansive look. And I've seen it, witnessed it firsthand, especially when I was with Marissa in Utah. And seeing how she deals with her kids. And Sue, it's so important to have a breathwork practice at that point too, especially when you have a baby in general. Regardless, it's great to have. It's a great stress reliever in general. But when you're doing it around your child, when you're consciously doing it, you finally see that it is definitely more than just a baby you are raising. You are raising a powerful spiritual experience and being. And that's what it's about. In the meantime that I'm not pregnant, what about raw organic milk from or animals? Is it similar? Somewhat similar, but there's different structures to it. A lot of people have had success from it. A lot of people have not had success from it. But going back to what I was talking about, the water, going back to the water thing, right? I was saying that the structured water is way more important than just drinking water or just drinking spring water. Just like going back with that type 1 diabetic that worked on Wall Street. All we did was pump his water with the scalar video, targeting his jugs of water with specific frequencies targeting type 1 diabetes. See, that's the type of mindset and outlook you should have when it comes to water, because water is a technology. Water is the oldest technology that we have come across, touched, experienced, and witnessed in general. And moving forward, you guys will definitely see. I give it 5 to 10 more years, but definitely 5 years where they're gonna finally get to the point where we can actually hold particular electrical outputs from the sun in water, which is still scratching a lot of scientists' head to do that. And when we can do that, you have a super fuel right there, because a lot of people don't know when the sun is shining. Solar panels can only use so much of the sun. Only like a small dimensional aspect of what that sun can really give. There's a lot of power with the sun rays that is not even being tapped into. What you may deem as solar panels, they're only tapping into about 3% of what the sun can really give. Okay? So till this day, we're still trying to figure out, hey, how do we harness more power from the sun? How do we do this? All right? So water is the missing link. Also mercury as well as also a missing link. I think they'll catch up and find that out. But ancients themselves have been doing that for centuries. It's just the fact that a lot of scientists, a lot of society is ignorant and they don't like to look back on ancient findings like these, and how our ancient ancestors, even down to the Adinkra symbols, like I was saying, how the quantum physicists openly admitted. I gotta find that video. It's gonna take a lot of digging. But they openly admit that the only human findings that they have close to what they found in quantum physics was Adinkra symbols. And most of society is brainwashed to think that, oh, old Africa, they don't have that much technological advances and stuff like that. Look at Genghis Khan. A lot of people don't even know about Genghis Khan, of how Africans actually helped out. Genghis Khan took some things from Africa to actually help him with his conquest. And a lot of people, when you go to the Himalayas and you talk to the real monks that's been living there for at least 70 plus years, or people that have been living there 7 plus years, they will tell you stories of stories being passed down for ages, of how tall, dark, really dark, even darker than my skin, dark melanated beings that had pyramids in the middle of their foreheads would pass down certain knowledge and technologies to them, to the point where it led to technologies that led to the scalar architecture, where certain monks would meditate in and it would just go invisible in terms of the temples. So when they had war, they would be invisible. The enemy couldn't find them. You look at most of these architectures, every ancient architecture you look into that has particular, you can tell that has deep intention when they were being built. They all have use cases, every single one of them. There are no such thing as coincidences. The Ankh is a representation of conscious breathing. It somewhat is. It represents the male and the female coming together. And some people can also say, especially in tantric practices, when you have orgasms, that's literally what's happening around you energetically. Especially if you are holding your seed in terms of semen retention, that's really what's happening with the Ankh. Well, that's what's forming. It's like an Ankh. You have the bottom, you can say it's a penis, and the top piece is a female, the egg, and then you have the cross, the middle point. So you have the egg, and you have the female, and that's like the Ankh right there. Exactly, we're all here for a reason. The Khan was dark and tall, had wizard staff. That's why he was feared, because he looked like Jafar from Aladdin. Hemp, banana, honey, coconut milk is super close to breast milk, minus the honey. You honestly don't need the honey. If you're gonna use banana, just also make sure the banana is super ripe. You don't want to be giving the baby too much starch, especially at an early age. You want to make sure that banana is dark as hell and it is liquidy as possible and ripe for that baby to digest instead of giving it starch. So just be careful about that. Can you talk about natural birth control? Maybe in another live. But yes, there are natural forms of birth control. I'll tell you a quick one. Papaya seeds. Swallowing papaya seeds is a natural birth control. Yep, and that's it for that topic. So let's tap into starch form mucus in the body. Yeah, that's why I wanted to clarify that real quick for some people so they don't get too lost. For parasites too, yes, papaya seeds. Yes, indeed. All right, so let's tap into a little session. I'm just reading what some people were wanting to work on real quick. If a lot more of you can tap into this. Yeah, papaya seeds are not that tasty. Hey, who said about chewing the papaya seeds? It's for women, by the way. You can swallow the papaya seeds. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to chew it. You can swallow it. You can swallow the papaya seeds, and you can swallow it also before sex. You can swallow it after sex if you're looking for, quote unquote, a birth control in that sense. Or and shoot, yeah, I think that's a big one that we're overlooking in terms of this topic. But something to note about birth control is it messes with hormones. I'm talking about pharmaceutical ones. Mess with your hormones, cause imbalances, blood clots. Should I go down the line? So many different things that is a mishap when it comes to birth controls. So the less you can utilize pharmaceuticals in general, the easier it is for the body. Do you lucid dream in your home or just in natural space? Kimmy goes, I like how papaya seeds taste. Hey, Kimmy. Can you quickly tap into polyamory and monogamy? I just watched your video, Everything is Sex, and now I keep thinking about it because I've been always for monogamy relationships. But if everything is technically sex, yeah, if everything is technically sex, you answered it yourself. We're all in a polygamous relationship. And even if you want to look at the our first mother, Adam, or what they found in Africa, I forgot her name, Lucy. I think it was Lucy. Her name's Lucy. The oldest female that they supposedly found is Lucy. And if we came from that one mother, then at that point, our cousins were having sex, our brothers were having sex, our brother and sister were having sex. I'm at that 1 minute time again, but darn it. We didn't even get to tap into the breath. Well, we did in somewhat form. Even in the background, I'm playing subliminal breathwork music. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Can you talk about the sun ray and its power on water? So, I might go live again, and it won't be a long live. We'll tap right into the breath. But real quick, I'll answer your question. Sun rays on water. So why I promote and why we sell the Marne glasses, because the Marne glasses can absorb the sun rays, the UV and specifically infrared. So it's you're literally drinking the sun at that point. And it forms and it structures the water literally in 30 minutes. And that same bottle had, they tested it with rose water. And you can find this on the website right there too. You can even have your own wording on there if you want. Make sure to make it short, please. Don't make it too long. And we put our scalar sticker on the bottom, so it's embedding all those frequencies inside the bottle as well, including the tensor ring to help structure the water. I'm going to go live again. Tap back in, and we'll definitely tap into a breath session. Bear with me. I keep forgetting they limited me. They limited my time again.